afternoon. Welcome to the July the 24th meeting of the Architectural Review Board of the City of Montgomery. We are a 9-member board appointed by the City Council and serve on a voluntary basis without compensation. Oh, sorry. I was trying to get where I could see.
We're going to bring you a pillow. And,
Then my feet won't touch the floor. That's not going to be good either. All right. Our procedure for conducting business is the petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present his or her request. The board will ask any questions that they may have. Then anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. Each side will have 10 minutes to speak. Once your request is heard and the board's decision is rendered, you may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until the end of the meeting to ask them, or you may contact them at the office the next day. Once public testimony and discussion of a particular item has concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render its decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architecture Review Board are final. Any aggrieved parties may appeal to the board, a decision of the board to the City Council within 15 days. Petitioners may also appeal the board's decision to the Circuit Court within 30 days. We have five members present. It takes 5 members to pass a motion. Because of the number of board members present, if you would like to delay your request, please let us know at the time your request is announced. Let me take this opportunity to introduce members of the board. Katie Williams, David Payne, John Foshee, John Hayden, Willie Welch, and I'm Elizabeth Brown. Our land use staff are Christy Anderson, Paula Richardson, and Russell Stringer. All right, our first item tonight is Leon and Bertha Harris, Cloverdale Idlewild, Norman Ridge Road. I believe this is about a tree.
Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Harris.
How you all doing?
Fine.
Okay, great. I'm returning from the last meeting requesting approval for removing a tree after the fact, a cedar tree. And my plans are to replace that cedar tree that was cut down. It was bad. That was at the base of the tree. There was some concrete poured over there to help maintain the tree in place. But what we would like to do is put a driveway there and fix it where we can park our RV in the back of that house prior to tearing it down. We're going to submit a plan outlining the fence line where it looked almost identical, will be looking identical to the one that we have there in front of the house, along with the gate also. After the fact, the tree was bad. I'd say it was bad. There are pictures there. After each storm or heavy wind or rain, branches would be out in the street, in the yard and everything, and we have to go and remove them. I'm asking for your approval after the fact for a tree that was removed.
Russell, do you have a few words to say about the tree and the issues involved?
Yeah, and bear with me, this is a bit complicated. 2 violations here. One, removal of tree in the historic district. That's a violation y'all are looking at. The other is it was on the street right-of-way. That's a violation of city code, the tree ordinance. Violation of city code, what I look at, can be handled with a mitigation payment. The petitioner would rather do it with tree replacement, which I can look at that too. However, we got to clean up the historic violation first. Y'all got to tell me that whether or not it was appropriate to remove that cedar tree and replace it with what he has in his landscape plan before I'll do anything with it on the other end of that. You do need to note that this is not something that I would have approved from the start if it had been brought to me to proceed. Yeah, and please ask me any questions. I know that's convoluted. That's what happens when you get ordinances that complement each other.
Well, let's talk about the tree itself for a minute, Mr. Stringer. I see on the photograph Mr. Harris provided there is some apparent concrete at the edge of the road. Does it look like that? I mean, you've examined the stump. Does it look like that was poured to support the tree?
No. We were not aware of anything to be wrong with that tree. Normally, if there's something wrong with dead limbs, the citizen will call the city, we'll go out and check it, and we will take whatever action that would be appropriate. And if it's dead limbs in tree, we take the dead limbs out of the tree. If the tree is bad, we remove the tree. In this case, I became aware of this tree just by driving up the road and seeing the stump and 6 feet of clear stem. And I got out and looked at it, and everything that was left there was still green and healthy.
Looking at the pictures, although the pictures are not good, there does appear to be a lot of dead stuff in the tree.
Agreed, and we would likely, now I have to say likely now, because we don't have the whole tree to look at anymore.
Yes.
But that looks like something we would have trimmed the dead wood out of. I didn't see anything at the base of the tree that would cause us to have warranted removal. And again, at this point, it's just speculation, and because it's just speculation, this board needs to decide if the tree was appropriate to be removed and replaced, not whether it was sick or not.
I think it is. It was a great big tree. Well, when they get that age, they don't look cedar trees. You know, they get to look kind of scruffy. Does anyone else have a comment about the tree?
Hi, my name is Bertha Harris. I'm the wife of Mrs. Harris. Regarding the damage of that tree, that house caught on fire twice, and there was some smoke damage to that house. And you can check the fire department records and know that the house did catch on fire twice, a huge fire. So there was smoke damage to the tree also.
The tree. In regards to the tree, Mr. Russell, the tree was bad. I mean, after each rain, wind, we literally had to go and remove branches from the street side and also the yard each time. The tree was bad. Now, you may have pruned the tree and cut it back, but it still would have been a nub. I'm willing to replace the tree with any side you wish. I would like an oak tree there, any side you wish, and 2 more cedar trees, any side you wish. That means they give us a chance to put a new tree in place and give us a chance to expand and build our home comfortably.
Do we have any more discussion about the tree?
Well, I just wanted understood, Mr. Harris, all we're talking about tonight is the tree. We're not talking about granting permission to build anything.
I understand.
Would you be opposed to replacing a cedar tree with a cedar tree?
Yes, sir. On the plan here, I got 1 oak and 2 cedars to go
Right.
back in.
Well, the oak tree is where the cedar tree is.
It's going to be set to the left. As you're facing the driveway, it will be set back to the right for the turnout. It have to be wide enough for the bus to be able to pull in and pull out. So it's going to have to go back from that point where the existing tree was at. It'll have to set back about maybe 3 to 4 feet from that point.
So if that tree had not been removed, you couldn't have pulled your RV into the driveway?
It could have been, yes, sir. It could have been, but the tree was bad. and to give me a new, well, to make it look decent. You know, whereas that it's not going to be an eyesore. A lot of those cedar trees need trimming.
Mr. Harris, I got 2 of them in my yard and a bunch of them on my street, all covered with Spanish moss, and I'm aware when the wind and rain come, especially if they got Spanish moss on them, limbs are coming down. As someone told me when I bought my house in the Cloverdale, Idlewild area, that's part of living in the CIA.
Well, how can we act on a matter that's... we
Could
can't-
you all talk in the mic so we can hear?
Excuse me. We don't have any authority to tell him about a tree on the right of way. I mean, if he took down a tree, then he violated the city ordinance. So how could we have approved the removal of that tree? We didn't have that authority. I don't
You
think.
do.
We do?
Because it includes any public property within the boundaries of the historic district.
So y'all do have a say-so on it. He's getting a break by being able to come to see you because it's in the historic district. I don't know if that, but
I doubt
anyway,
at this
it's,
point he feels that way about it, but
Sure it is.
I understand. I've faced red tape before, and it feels overwhelming at times. But what y'all have to do is decide if his plan is an appropriate replacement, or it's appropriate to remove the tree and to replace it with this before I act on this.
Well, it looks to me like it is, except for the fact I think that just to keep the uniformity of it, I would put 3 cedar trees there or 3 oak trees, but not 2 of one and 1 of the other.
Whatever you wish.
That's just me. Now, you've got 2 driveways there, which is confusing me a little bit, but I guess there's a reason for that.
Well, that driveway is going to be removed.
Oh, will be removed. Okay.
And the other driveway, all of that hinges on his ability to demonstrate to y'all that that house is beyond salvaging, and you let him tear it down and add on to his house, which is not part of this submission.
Right.
But that will factor into if you all set a deadline for replacement, and he hasn't started that other process, where we are a year from now.
You know, I missed that meeting, so I'm in the dark.
Right. Because that's my concern, not so much as the tree, as what happens if after the tree, are we gonna let him tear the house down?
We are not there
we're not
yet.
going to consider that. We've got to just deal with the tree today.
I get it, but he's, okay then,
May I have a motion about the tree?
right.
Did you need to take comments from the audience?
Oh, sorry. Comments from the audience. Is there anyone from Cloverdale Idlewild? Mr. Colvin is on vacation?
Where's Jay? Oh, there he is. He's hiding back there.
I am Jane Burris, president of Cloverdale Idlewild. We certainly don't want trees in the right-of-way, especially if they are healthy trees. I wasn't familiar with this tree ahead of time, so. Mr. Colvin I spoke to this afternoon, he did say that they have been making great improvements on their property and that it's much better than it's ever been, and he made that comment to me, that he feels good about what they've done so far. He's a backyard neighbor.
Thank you. Now, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I move that we approve the plan for the trees only as submitted to replace this 1 tree with 3 new cedar trees of size equal to the city landscape ordinance.
Would you include a 2 plant by date? At this point, generally, we would be asking for the end of the next planting season, which would be mid-March of 2019.
Yes, and that would be included in the motion, be planted by mid-March 2019.
A second, please.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
I assume that we'll discuss your other plans in the future after that's been in the public notice?
Well, we to put the tree in place before we move forward
No,
on
you don't.
the
You just have to do it by the March deadline.
Okay,
next
November,
year.
March timeframe when things are dormant.
Because if you don't do it, even if your other stuff hasn't started, you'll be back in violation.
Oh, we're going to do it.
And we know you don't want to do that.
Oh, yes, we are going to put that three trees in place.
All right.
If we want 4, we'll get 4.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, number 2, Richard Armiston, 1822 Galena Avenue, Old Cloverdale. Hello.
It's just to add an awning so that when I come in and out of the house when it's raining, I don't get drenched. Because it's just, it's flat up against the the roof and the everything. Okay, it's right there. It'll just be a typical, it's just a cloth awning, black cloth awning. Yeah. Just like the one on the bottom, so.
Okay. Is there anyone from Cloverdale to talk with this?
Brian Mann, Mayor of Old Cloverdale. We reviewed this and the other agenda items at our meeting last week. We have no objection to this addition to this home.
May I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Discussion, we might want to discuss. Probably not. Straightforward, simple.
We're not used to that.
Is there anyone else from the audience? Anyone from the board? All right, now a motion.
Okay, I would make a motion that we approve this as presented.
All right.
Second.
It's been approved and seconded. All in favor? All opposed? Thank you.
I appreciate it.
We don't want you wet.
Thank you. See you.
All right. Project number 3, Philip Cameron, 1343, 1347 Felder Avenue. It's Mrs. Cameron.
Yes, Melody Chalk.
Okay.
We're requesting to replace, you can see it in the picture here, the gables and the non-historic siding on the dormers with some concrete siding, concrete hardy plank board. Yeah, in those 2 sections on both sides of the house and both dormers. And that's all we're asking.
Is there anyone from the Old Cloverdale Association to discuss this?
Again, this item was reviewed at our meeting last week and no objection to this change to the structure. Thank you.
Discussion from the board?
Is it planks you're going to use, like 5 or 7 inch planks?
5 inch, I believe.
Okay, and they'll go horizontal?
Right. they'll be
Okay, horizontal would
Yes.
be prettier.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Are you placing the windows too?
You missed
Pardon?
that.
Oh, I
You
that.
missed the windows.
Okay, never mind.
That was last week,
Yeah.
last month. Any other discussion? May I have a motion then?
Move to approve as submitted.
I'll second that motion.
Just one brief comment. You might want to consider getting the hardy plank that doesn't have the grain embossed in it. Although it's way up there and you might not notice that, it looks a whole lot more rustic than your house does.
Yes.
The smooth,
Okay.
the smooth would look better.
Certainly.
All right.
We can do that.
All right. All in favor? Opposed? Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Number 4, Warren Phillips. Tree removal at 617 and 631 Thorn Place. Mr. Phillips? He must have forgotten because I saw the sign in his yard.
Popcorn tree, I don't guess we can move to approve.
Can we approve without Mr. Phillips? All All right, perhaps he will come in before the meeting is over. Number 5, Leanne Higgins. 1123 Westmoreland Avenue, Old Cloverdale. After the fact, rear property line, dog-eared wood fence.
Yes. So our property is at 1123 Westmoreland Avenue. It sits on the corner of Westmoreland and Girard. So where it is, the property just behind it actually used to be a house. The house actually kind of fell apart. The lady who owned it kind of moved away and they demolished it. So that property then became the community garden, which is now a very public space behind our house, which was really wonderful and a little bit of a learning curve for us because sometimes on Sunday mornings we have an audience. Hey. So there was a brick wall, and as the plans for the community garden developed, on that brick wall there was a lot of vine. Well, it may be that the vine was the only thing holding up that brick wall at the time. So when the vine came down, the brick wall actually was very crumbly. We actually worked with the community garden plans, and as you know, the meetings progressed, you know, the plans kind of grew and changed, which actually has come out to be a great thing, and the garden looks wonderful. We have a swimming pool, so you know, security is an issue, as is, you know, having a bunch of people going, hey, there's a swimming pool over there. That being said, in the last discussion we had at one of the community garden meetings, we just said, hey, the best solution is that we'll just put up a fence. So as the plans for the garden grew and changed, we kind of waited to make sure that we had the best of the concrete plans. And the community garden put in a 6-foot wooden plank fence that borders the woodward side of the property. So when we put this one in, we just matched what they had already put in, because therefore it, you know, everything matches, everything goes together, and it provides, you know, some security for us for a swimming pool, and also, you know, for the community garden. It gives it kind of a lovely border. So apologies, everybody had kind of agreed upon it at the garden meeting, and it had been kind of the garden plans, and I just kind of assumed that it was part of that and approved through that. So anyway, all in all, we're very happy with it, and I hope y'all are too.
Old Cloverdale has no objection to approval after the fact of this matter. Thank you. And I'd like to note that Mr. Phillips has walked in.
I noticed him. Thank you. Any discussion about the after-the-fact fence?
I think it looks lovely, Madam.
Thank you, Mr. Hagan.
All right, is there any further discussion on this item? All right, a motion, please.
Move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Thank you for coordinating with your neighbors so well.
We're going on to 6.
Yep.
4. Or we can,
All right, number 6, Michael Walsnack,
going forward, I guess.
1142 South Perry Street.
He's last.
Oh, Lord.
I will be recusing myself from this one.
This is the one who cut down.
Katie Williams will be recusing herself from this.
Hello, my name is Catherine Lynn. I'm the chairman of the Governor's Mansion Authority. Michael Walzak is the executive director of the Governor's Mansion. And we are here to make a request of the board after the fact, unfortunately. And this just deals with a failure in communication and understanding of our responsibilities. Outside the Governor's Mansion, there is a wall, a security fence, and there were some crepe myrtles that were there alongside the wall. We received a request from the state troopers to prune those back because they were obstructing the security camera that observes that perimeter fence along the Governor's Mansion. That also happens to be the bus lane where all of our tours for our children that come in and out of the mansion are there. They come in and out of that area. And that also happens to be the area where the state troopers' guard shack is located. So any traffic along that sidewalk cannot be observed with those crepe myrtles blocking the way. We have a group of master gardeners who volunteer at the mansion every week, and they thought they were doing the right thing and honoring the request of the state troopers. We did not realize that we needed to come get permission, so we're here to ask for permission after that. We did not remove the crepe myrtles. As you can see from this photograph, it is clearly obstructing that bus lane from that security camera, so you cannot see any of the traffic on that sidewalk going up to the guard shack or any of the children that come in and out of the mansion on the tours. And during our high season, which is from September to May, we have sometimes as many as 7 tours a day. So we have a lot of people coming in and out on that street. After we prune them back, they're still there, they're shrubbing out, but now we can observe the traffic and provide better security on that perimeter fence. So I'm glad to answer any questions about that.
Is there anyone from the Garden District to speak to this in the audience? Comments from the board? Catherine, is the plan to keep the crepe myrtles smaller?
It is our intent to let them shrub out, but to keep them below the fence, the wall, so that we can observe that sidewalk and that bus lane that gets used for everybody that comes and visits the mansion.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Then may I have a motion?
I make a motion that we give after the fact approval to the Governor's Mansion Authority to
A second.
remove
Remove
the height of the crepe myrtles and reduce them to a bush height.
Okay. Second?
I do. I second.
You still second?
All in favor? Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine. Is that our last one?
Mr. Stringer, or?
Mr. Yes, Mr. Livermore came in. Russell? I believe you have a... Russell, have you cut down a tree without going to the,
You think it's a violation?
At long last, I'm at your mercy.
Ooh, Dad, I get 4.
In this case, the owner of this home removed a Bradford pear from the city right-of-way without a certificate of appropriation from you or permission from me. However, in this particular case, because I very much approve of the removal of Bradford pears from the city right-of-way, if they had come to me first, I would have brought this immediately to this board to seek that permission. Therefore, I am here now. The owner of the house has already paid a mitigation payment to the city to be used to plant additional trees to take care of this removal, which is what that mitigation payment is for.
is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project? Any discussion from the board?
So, Mr. Stringer, you approved the removal of a perfectly healthy Bradford pear.
There's
Talk to him.
no
Talk to
such
him.
thing as a perfectly healthy Bradford pear.
I see.
The animal does not exist.
I believe that Mr. Stringer...
Not in Montgomery, anyway.
...has animus towards Bradford pears.
Mr. Stringer.
I mean, the trees look perfectly healthy to me. I'm just saying that. When they were still there, but anyway, when it was
Would
still
you
It was
agree?
green.
Would you agree to plant 4 more oak trees in my park?
Indeed, I do. I've
all
already
right.
made arrangements for that.
All right.
All right. Any further discussion?
Madam Chair, I move that we forgive the violation and approve petitioner's request.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
But just this one time.
Just this one time.
Don't do it again.
And I do believe mine was the final violation of the night too, so.
I think we set a record for violation.
I know. Warren, Davis?
I was,
Number 4 has arrived,
not a
and we are
violation.
happy to hear him in last place.
Not a violation, okay.
Please excuse my tardiness, but I'll blame it on the downtown parking scenario. I'm here to represent a request to remove a popcorn tree that has grown into the side of my garage from my neighbor's property. And my neighbor, were he still with us, would heartily agree to it, but he passed away a couple of months ago, and his brother has kindly offered to pay for the removal of that tree, and so we're here to ask for your approval of the same.
Is anyone from the audience to speak to the removal of a popcorn tree? Second only in popularity to Bradford pears.
But doesn't it look good? Is that the one with the two big knots on the side of it that I'm seeing in this photograph? There's one that shows a street scene there, a driveway
it's in
scene.
the far back.
Yeah, the last tree that's got the big.
That's the front of the house. It's
You gotta look at, it's in the backyard.
Is that the tree right there?
Keep flipping. You gotta go to another page.
Yeah, you can see it's on the wall.
It's
one
a
more.
big popcorn tree too.
It is a big popcorn tree.
Yeah.
I think I've ever seen
It
one
may be the
live that
state
long.
champion, Warren.
I'm sorry?
It may be the state champion popcorn tree.
Certainly in height.
The Forestry Commission refuses to acknowledge any exotic invasive tree as a
I
champion.
mean, look at that thing.
That's official
It is a
policy.
beauty.
Makes it more fun to kill it.
May I have a motion if there's no further discussion?
Move to approve as submitted.
Second?
Second.
All in favor? Fine. Thank you, sir.
very much.
Kill
All
the
right.
tree. Wait a minute. Did we do the minutes?
Christie? On the first one, Leon and Bertha Harris?
Yes.
Make sure that they understand that the only question that we settled today
Was the tree.
is the tree. All right.
Otherwise, oh yeah.
Because he's getting ready, he thinks he's gonna tear the house down, and,
Looks like he wants to put up a shed for his RV. It's
He
right.
does.
but
And,
the-
and add on to his house.
We talked
And,
about that earlier.
yeah.
Right.
better have something more than graph paper.
And my concern is, you know, even if though the house burned, why he can't rehab the house?
Well, from our conversation, what I told him was that based on what he paid for the house and what he estimated the repairs to be, that the house would be worth more than what it was going to cost him to fix it, and that wasn't going to fly.
And
And
that was
that I
what?
already didn't know, because his house occupies 2 lots. If bringing a 3rd lot into it, which would make it, it's already the biggest lot in the neighborhood, it would, we're doing additions or parallel to the street instead of back, that I didn't know if you all would like that either. So
Right.
we have had a lot of discussions about what he needs to do and prepare and demonstrate to make a complete application to this board. But we will emphasize that the only thing that was under consideration was the tree issue.
Now, and I'm trying to make sure I heard you right. It would cost more, if he repaired a burned house, it would cost more than the house would be worth.
I don't think so. Not
Right.
She
based,
thinks
not,
the
not
opposite.
based on the numbers he gave me.
Right.
And based on what houses sell for in that neighborhood, no. I don't think that it would be asking him to do something that was economically out of bounds.
Right, so I, 'cause
That may not be
that's-
his desire, but based on the numbers that we discussed when he was in our office, it's repairable. And it's repairable in a manner that he could still sell it at market rate and make money.
Right.
So what is the established protocol in the CIA to remove a house completely from?
It's only been
They're
done
here.
once, David. I mean, you remember there was a house and it was a bad fire. I walked through it. It was nothing but guts.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
there's no.
insurance company totaled that.
Right. The insurance company came in, they totaled it. I walked through it. It was right there at the park. I can't remember the address. It was kind of a,
It's
hacienda style
Yeah.
that, I mean, even if you had gutted it, you still would have scorch all over. So, I mean, it was a total loss.
In that house, at least I would have never known it'd been burned until y'all told me, because it didn't look that way from the
No,
street.
I mean,
Right?
just
Maybe-
driving by, walking by, probably you wouldn't have noticed it, but once you approached it, you could smell you know what you've done, you can smell the soot, and yeah, I mean, like I said, I walked through it. Do we need to approve the minutes before we adjourn?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Thank you for reminding me because I could have forgotten. The minutes were mailed out to us and we reviewed them, I'm sure. Is anyone have any additions or corrections to the minutes? So she sit up straight and don't lay out.
I reviewed them in full, every
Thank you.
word, and I think
Thank
they were
you.
perfectly written.
Thank you. Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor? The minutes are approved. Thank you.
I wouldn't go.